Hello, this is Hammer Smith Chess Club, Junior Hour Basics in 5 minutes or so. The video is a summary of a session we had in June 2020 on the knights. When watching this video, you can stop at any time when you want to understand the new position or try to find a solution. The knights are the most complex animals on the board because of the very special move pattern, and they can be strong or weak depending on where on the board they are located. Two knights cannot mate the opponent's king without his help. And yet there is a very special knight with one knight alone in an endgame constellation, the so-called Stammer's mate. Knight b5, check, the king has to move to the corner, black king moves along, the pawn has to be pushed, and knight c7, check and mate. And the same with white to move. White has to move to the corner. Now it's not black following the king, because the white king would just go back. And it's not this time knight to b5, because then white would move pawn to a7, and next move there would be stalemate. No, now it is knight c8. The white pawn has to move, and now the black knight is mating on b6. One of the few sayings in chess, which is mostly right, is knight on the rim is dim, or knight on the rim is grim. Look at the empty board. The knight on the 16 squares in the center, on the third and fourth row and file, these 16 squares, has 8 squares to go from here. Any place on these 16. Knights on the second row and file along here have still 6 squares to go, or less when they are closer to the corner. Knights on the first file and row here have only 4 squares left when they are closer to the corner 3, or even in the corner just 2 squares. And this is one of the reasons also that in openings, look here at the starting position, knights are mostly in the first move to f3, f6, or c3, c6, because from here they have the most potential to engage the ensuing battle. Here is an example of one of my own games, where I had a lucky escape when I tricked my opponent into believing that he can bring my knight to the corner and then being unable to block his pawn. So I had white. He took my knight, sacrificed the knight, and thought I would take his knight, and then the knight close to the corner is unable to block that pawn, that will queen. However, when he took my pawn, I was not forced to take his knight. I went to a3, and now his knight was where mine should have been. And his knight was cornered and unable to go back. And it took a few more moves, and then I had won the game. When knights are weak on the rim, they are strong in the center, and the strongest when they occupy an outpost which is protected by an own pawn. It cannot be pushed away by a pawn of the opponent, or even a bishop in the ideal case. Now here there are outposts on d5 and f5, and Aaron Nimzowitsch made exemplary use of these outposts. Knight h4, looking at f5. Now it is on f5. And now the second outpost is occupied by the second knight, t5. And look at the potential. Oops, knight e6, threatening c7, which would have forked. So if the queen would have taken on e6, the other knight would have taken on c7 and forked the queen and the king. But another fork on f6, capturing the queen. And even though the own queen is taken, the two knights have dominated, and indeed with a material advantage, black resigned. The last example shows a game with a very strong outpost on e5 and also on g5. We see it here already, which Magnus Carlsen lost against the super knights. Against the super knights on e5 and g5 against Hikaru Nakamura only last month. e5 occupied by one of the knights. Okay, this time it's not the knight catching in because it would be exchanged and then it's a drawn end game, but the knight has another outpost going there and defended by own pawn. Even there is a nice outpost on f6, but that's difficult to go there. White doesn't mind to exchange queens because white has this very strong knight. Theoretically, there is an outpost for black on e4, but that can always be prevented by the pawn move f3. And the same maneuver black does not have anymore because his pawn is already on f5. And we see that there is always the danger that white would come back occupying the outpost, like in this case. And now if black takes, then of course white has a passed pawn and will win. So it was some maneuvering necessary, but then Nakamura won against the world champion, who resigned in this position. So chess mastery comes with a feeling where the knights belong.